Hello everyone and welcome to another Emma Moments. So before we begin this one, I really want to stress out two things. First, I'm not a good Death Knight tank. Okay, I'm just not. I'm just doing this to try and help people out. Second, this character is an alt, as you probably know, because my main is and always will be my warrior. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. First thing I want to speak about in this video is going to be the spec, because I know this last video was a bit hectic, and I really didn't go into much detail about the spec, just a bit in the end, and it was a bit messy. Let me just put some background music in here. There we go. This is Alma Mater by Moonspell, which is awesome. They're Portuguese, by the way. Pretty sweet. So anyways, let's do this. Blood. Actually gotta lower this down a bit. Okay. Blood, what do you want to have on your blood talent tree? You want to have 5 out of 5 blade barrier. Actually, just one quick thing here. Most Death Knight builds, you really just need 3 key talents. The rest, it's really up to you which tree you want to go to. And those 3 key talents are blade barrier, which basically, whenever your blood runes are on cooldown, you get the blade barrier effect that decreases damage taken by 5%. So you want to keep your blood runes on cooldown all the time. And then on Frost, you have toughness, which basically increases your armor, and on Unholy you have anticipation, which increases your dodge. So for blood, besides that, I'm going to go 4 out of 5 into bladed armor, which basically is the same thing as armor to the teeth for the warriors. It increases your attack power based on your armor rating. On Unholy, I'm going to go with Epidemic because I want my diseases to last as long as possible. Death Knight, both tanking and DPS, is heavily reliant on the fact that you keep your diseases up on your target. It's just the way it works. So now let's go to Frost Tree. I went for Icy Touch because basically I want to try and reduce as much speed from the mobs as possible. Basically, Icy Touch is going to have the same effect as Thunderclap. It's going to reduce the attack speed of monsters. So if you improve it, it's going to give you 6% increased damage slowdown thingy. Black Ice increases frost and shadow damage by 10%. Pretty straightforward. This is a frost-based build. It's going to be making a lot of frost damage. So if I can get 10% more out of that damage, perfect. Icy Talons. Basically, since we're going to be using Icy Touch, we might as well buff our raid since we're going for Frost. Buff ourselves in this case with 20% increased attack speed. Annihilation. This spec, you're going to be obliterating a hell of a lot, so you want to try and basically upgrade your obliterate as much as possible, because basically what this talent does, it's going to make it not consume diseases, and obliterating without consuming diseases is good. Improved Icy Talents. I'm not going to go for Icy Reach because I'm going to be in the range of the mobs all the time. I'm not going to go into Runic Power Mastery because I doubt I'll ever be rune capped. I'm going to be dumping rune like a maniac. I don't believe in dual wield tanking. It's possible, I just don't like it. Next, Killing Machine. It gives your melee attacks a chance to make Icy Touch, Howling Blast, or Frost Strike a critical strike, so it's always good. The more crits you have, the more threat you have, and the better you can keep aggro on the mobs. So, Frigid Death Plate reduces the chance melee attacks will hit you by 3%. Pretty self-explanatory. Second coffee. It's still hot. Glacier Rot. Diseased enemies take 20% more damage from your Icy Touch, Howling Blast, and Frost Strike. It's good stuff. You want to make damage. We've already went through this. Rhyme. Increases the critical strike chance of your Icy Touch Obliterate by 15%. And casting Obliterate has a chance to reset the cooldown on Howling Blast and make your Howling Blast cost no runes. So you want to bring this talent, obviously, because basically you're going to be using Obliterate and Howling Blast as much as possible. Okay, So, improved Icy Talons. Basically, since you got the improved Icy Touch, you might as well buff yourself and your group with 20% melee haste. It's good stuff. It's I think it's the equivalent to the Shaman Wind Fury. I'm not exactly sure because I'm not very knowledgeable about Shamans. Chillblains. This is a good talent, but I don't use it because this build is strictly for tanking, and this strikes me more as a PvP talent. Some tanks might use it. Basically, what it does is victims of your frost fever disease are going to be slowed down. This can help in tanking, okay? But I'm not going to take it. Hungering Cold. It's like a massive AoE trap thingy, frost trap thingy, okay? Some tanks like to take it. I don't, because normally if it comes to the point where this is going to be useful, it means that basically there's already been too many fuck-ups. So improved frost presence. Basically what this does for you is it's going to increase damage reduction by 2%, and you basically, it's like this: when you're tanking you have 3 presences. It's almost like the Warrior 3 stances, even though everybody likes to say, oh no, presences are completely different from stances. That's ridiculous. It's the exact same shit, okay? So basically you have your blood presence, your frost presence, and your unholy presence. And when you're tanking, you're going to be in frost presence. And what this talent does is when you're in frost presence, it's going to increase your damage reduction by 2%. I really don't have much time to go through all these skills. I mean, the Death Knight is a class that you really got to study if you want to be good at it, okay? Blood of the North increases Blood Strike and Frost Strike damage by 10%. And when you hit Blood Strike or Pestilence, your blood runes will come back as death runes. What does this mean? Well, a death rune is a rune that can be used as either Frost, Unholy, or Blood. And basically what you want in this spec is to maximize your Frost and your Unholy runes, because those are the runes you want to be using more when you're tanking on Frost. So for this reason, basically what this does is it converts the blood rune you use to cast either Blood Strike or Pestilence and converts it into a death rune, which then can be used for maybe an Obliterate or an Howling Blast, okay? Unbreakable Armor. This is basically a cooldown. It's going to boost your armor up, and I've also have it glyphed, which means it's going to boost my armor by quite a lot. So it's almost like a mini shield wall kind of thing. Acclamation. A lot of people don't like this spell. I do. It's their problem if they don't like it or not. Basically, you play the way you like, and that's about it. So, what does Acclamation do? Whenever you get hit by some magical type of damage, it has a 30% chance to boost your resistance to that damage. This is pretty useful. Like, for instance, suppose you're tanking some kind of a boss that's constantly making fire damage to you. Pretty soon you're going to be at like 200 something or 180. I don't know exactly how much it is, but you're going to be at a higher level resistance for that spell. And that's what tanking is about. It's about mitigation and keeping aggro, and this is going to mitigate a lot of damage for you. Frost Strike. This is going to be one of your runic dumps. Your other runic dump is going to be Rune Strike, okay? And we have already went through the concept of rage dumping. Rune dumping is just about the same thing. Death Knights have 2 resources, okay? Runes and rune power. And what's going to happen is, as you spend your runes, you gain rune power. Like, for instance, if you look at my Death Knight right now, he's got 0 rune power, okay? And he has all his runes. Now look what happens if I do a Blood Strike, for instance. 10 runic power. Now I'm going to do another one. 20. Now I'm going to do an Obliterate. 35. Howling Blast. 50. Okay? So basically your runic power will develop as you spend your runes. It's also going to decay like rage, as you can see over here. And basically what I mean by rune dump is, for instance, if you have this much rune power, you want to use it on, let's say, for instance, Rune Strike, because it's your tanking rune dump. But Rune Strike only activates when you dodge or parry, okay? So the thing is, if you have runic power and you're not dodging or parrying, you're taking either hits to the face or the enemies are missing you, you want to go ahead and use Frost Strike. Actually, mine is grayed out because I went below. Let me just build a bit. Okay, see? And now Frost Strike. Boom. You see? That's just like one hit that spends your runic power. Death Knights think they're all smart because they have all this complex system here. Whatever. So anyways, besides Frost Strike, Guile of Gorfin increases your critical strike damage. Okay, you want to take this. Tundra Stalker Your spells and abilities deal 15% more damage to targets infected with Frost Fever. Since you're going to be keeping your diseases up, you want to take this talent. And Howling Blast, you want to take this basically because this is like the ultimate talent in the Frost tree, okay? Just a second, coffee. I love coffee.